Welcome to Credibility by Camera.
Welcome to Credibility by Camera with Kerry Barrett, Emmy Award-winning journalist turned trusted video authority for attorneys and law firms. Kerry shares proven strategies to help you show up with confidence, build trust on screen, and turn your online presence into a powerful business tool. Let's raise your visibility and your credibility one video at a time. I'm your host, Zofia Morales, and welcome, Kerry. We're so happy to have you here today to discuss production blueprints, planning video like a pro.
It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So if I'm a lawyer and I start creating video content, what's kind of the first step I need to take in that production process? Do I just put my camera up and wing it?
Yeah. I have never known a lawyer to wing anything. So I'm going to say no on that end. No, the truth is when it comes to creating video, you really only need three things. I've said this before. It's your face, your phone, and your voice. I'm pretty confident everybody listening to this or watching this has all three of those. There are some key things though when it comes to production that can really help up level the way that you look and the way that you come across, really position you as that authority. So when it comes to production, generally speaking, if you're doing a walk and talk video, certainly you can be holding your phone and moving it around a little bit. People have come to expect somewhat shaky video, although I would toggle on the Steadicam setting when you're doing that. But when you're recording a static video, let's say from your home office or from your regular office or wherever, I always suggest having a tripod. It doesn't have to be expensive. I have one on my gear guide that I'm happy to share. And, you can buy it on Amazon for $20 or whatever. But that way you're able to frame yourself up in the shot correctly. And you have a nice steady shot that's not going to give people a headache watching it. So that's really the first piece of gear that I suggest people invest in. I do have a little hack though. If you are in a spot where you are unable to set up a tripod or you don't have your tripod with you and you really do want to shoot something, what I suggest is face a window. And if you have one, set your phone up on the window sill or the window ledge.
Okay.
Or even one of the panes if it's strong enough to hold it. And that way you're facing the window and you have a steady shot for your phone. So that's another great place to shoot. I have a couple of other hacks I could share with you as well, but they're probably too detailed to get into right now.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll hit some of those as we go forward through this episode and some others. But yeah, I like the phone on the windowsill hack. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is helpful and easy to use if you're not traveling with your tripod.
Exactly. So thinking about, spending some of your billable hours or non-billable hours planning out a video strategy and all that kind of stuff, what can we expect as like a return on investment for diverting some of your really valuable time into this?
Oh gosh, absolutely. And I know for so many people, so many attorneys, it does come down to billable hours and what will I see when I'm creating video. So there's a couple of things going on right now, and I'm going to speak specifically about LinkedIn, but creating video is applicable for all of your social media platforms. It's applicable for your website. It's certainly applicable when it comes to video podcasts and, hybrid and virtual events and that sort of thing. But we'll focus on LinkedIn specifically here. There's only about 10% of attorneys who are actively creating content on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is doing a huge push for video as of this recording. There are posts from LinkedIn marketing that are coming up consistently on the feed that are really sort of hitting that drumbeat of video is where it's at. So given the fact that only 10% of attorneys are actively creating and even smaller percentage of them are creating video on LinkedIn, and it doesn't have to be every day, once a week or a couple of days a week, is a fantastic way to position yourself as the authority, a fantastic way to establish your personal brand, and a fantastic way to position yourself as a great referral partner. And the end goal for everybody is to bring in more clients, but the ROI is certainly there. I have one client who started posting videos recently, and their website traffic jumped, and I'm not misspeaking here, 4,009% since they
Yeah.
started creating videos. So the
I
ROI is certainly there.
Exactly. Well, and I can believe that because one of the things I've noticed being in the online world for a long time is when you can be on that wave of what the platform's trying to build, you get more amplification than you would at any other point.
Yep, you get a nice little boost.
Absolutely. So, how important is having a strategy or a quote unquote run of show for filming?
Yeah, to have a nice rundown. So there's a couple of things that are key when it comes to creating video. And of course, one of those things is to have a strategy. Each video needs to have a purpose. And they won't all be the same, but generally speaking, you're running your potential clients or your referral partners, whoever it is that you're looking to speak to on LinkedIn. Usually it's clients and referral partners will come in. You're running them through basically a funnel, if you will. And the funnel is awareness at the top, right? So bringing people into awareness of who you are and what you do. Then you're moving them through interest, right? I'm now interested in learning a little bit more about what you do. Desire, which is I desire to work for you. And then action, which is taking an action that brings them either to working with you, booking a call, or downloading a free resource, or whatever that next step is that you're asking for. So you have to create videos. You should create videos anyway, with an understanding of your customer journey. And this is one of the things that I work on with my clients, is very specifically mapping the customer journey so that you understand where they're coming in, and specifically what their pain points are and how it is that you need to speak to them. But there are three main things that your videos need to be doing when you are running them through that funnel. The first is connection. So, having people connect with you. The second one is, the first one is attention, right?
Yes.
The second one is connection. And then the third one is conversion. So once you understand your content strategy, which is a little certainly more in depth than what I'm talking about now, or what I have time to talk about now, then it's actual creation. So the scripting and the production process. But it is incredibly important to have a blueprint of how you get from ideation to creation and then distribution.
Yeah, exactly. So, what's your process when you sit with a client to help them decide what they want to say and how best to deliver or say that message?
Yeah. So the first thing, one of the easiest ways to think about what it is that you should be talking about is to go back. And I've actually suggested, if you watch any of my content on LinkedIn, you'll see that I do post about this fairly regularly. One of the easiest ways, and this is before you get into strategy, this is really just to break the ice and to get
Yeah.
comfortable with being on camera, is to think about some of the most common questions that you get from clients or potentially referral partners. So you can go back through your emails and see what the most recent question was, or you might know off the top of your head, I get, this question regularly, like when should I be, I don't know, trademarking something, for example.
Yes.
And use that to frame what it is that you want to talk about. Then really, after you've sort of broken the ice and you understand what your clients are asking, then it's funneling those questions into, again, that funnel that I mentioned just a few minutes ago: awareness, interest, desire, and action.
When you're setting up to get ready to do this kind of regular video production, do you need like a script or a teleprompter, or is it just enough to have a list of bullet points?
Oh, that's such a good question. And there's not one right answer. So I have some clients who absolutely love reading from a teleprompter, and I have some clients who love reading from an outline. And I have other clients that love to memorize a sentence or two, deliver it to the camera, then look back at their script, memorize a sentence or two, and deliver it to the camera. I teach my clients how to do all three of those things because there might be, or four, I guess, actually, there might be moments where they don't have access to their teleprompter, or they do want to sort of speak a little bit spontaneously and not have a full script in front of them. So I work through each one of those opportunities, or each one of those scenarios is a better word. There's a few pros and cons for each of them. So with a teleprompter, one of the pros is that you very often get your videos done in one take, which means, and you can plan out exactly what it is that you want to say. And you know
Oh,
that you're not going to be riffing or going on
yeah.
a tangent.
I would love to get my teleprompter stuff in one take. It usually takes me 3.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? You're lucky because I've had some clients where it takes 47. But the nice thing about using a teleprompter again is that you have that in one take. Now there is a skill set that goes along with reading a teleprompter so that you don't sound like you are reading a script.
Reading a teleprompter,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. You need to be able to deliver in a way that is conversational. So, if you're not interested in learning how to deliver from a teleprompter conversationally, then your next option is to use an outline with bullet points. Now, I always suggest manuscripting, meaning writing out your full script regardless, because
Mhm.
that helps you organize your thoughts. It gives you an idea of how long it is that you're going to be talking. Remember, you don't want to be talking for 2.5 or 3 minutes. You want to be talking for 45 seconds. And unless you really know what you're going to say, it's hard to know how long what it is that you're going to be talking about is going to take. So
Yeah.
manuscripting it out and then moving it into an outline. The challenge there is the opposite of what it is in the teleprompter. You might have lots of flubs and mistakes, and it's going to require some additional editing time on the back, and it may take you a little bit longer to deliver the content. That said, it's usually going to sound without many additional skills. It's usually going to sound relatively conversational.
Yeah.
The next thing is to memorize a sentence or two, look at your script, memorize the next sentence or two, come back to the camera and deliver those sentences. This also sounds incredibly conversational. And yes, you need to write out your script to do this as well. Then the challenge, though, becomes editing out all of those spaces on the back
Yeah,
end.
the continuity from
Yeah.
one to the other, and yeah.
I will say this, CapCut, which is an editing platform, an app that I strongly suggest you download because it is fantastic, did just
CapCut.
release a new feature on their platform called AutoCut. Now, I
Oh.
I haven't tested this out yet because it just came out as of this recording this week. But what it will do is it will pull those extended spaces or those extended pauses using AI. So we may have
Ah,
potentially trimmed down our editing process if we're using that significantly. Again, I can't verify for how accurate it is though, because I haven't
yeah.
used it yet, but it may be something, certainly something I'm going to be playing around with. And then if it's good, bring to my clients and teach them how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think the thing to keep in mind when you have a plan like that is you need to deliver in the order in which it needs to be finished.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to know about these choices between scripts and teleprompters and memorization?
I would say it really comes down to personal preference. The skills are good to have regardless. You may not often use a teleprompter when you're delivering a virtual presentation or, when you're delivering a podcast. Certainly, we're not using teleprompters here, but it does come in handy if you are, let's say, delivering a webinar or you're delivering a virtual training, making sure that you're able to stay on topic. So the skills are applicable really regardless of if you're in front of a camera, the skills will apply. It is personal preference on which technique you want to use. Again, I suggest having an understanding or having your arms around all three of them. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to how can you deliver conversationally, connected to the words, and what sort of time do you have on the back end for editing and post-production?
I know in my own video journey, if you will, there are places where I love having the bullet points. And like an interview like this is where I love having the bullet points. It's like, I know I need to hit these like 6 or 7 conversational points, and it keeps me on track with where I'm going. And then if I'm doing something that's more like you were saying, a video sales letter or something where I have a specific message I want to deliver in a specific way, full on teleprompter, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you make such a good point. And I think one of the things that can get challenging, and we've all seen these videos on YouTube that sort of seem, or not on YouTube, rather on LinkedIn. Well, heck, we might have seen them on YouTube as well. But
Yeah, exactly.
where there's sort of stream of consciousness and there's a story in there somewhere, but you're like, oh my goodness, please get to it. I don't have all day. And I think when you're trying to create videos for, and this again, applicable for Instagram Reels, TikTok, Facebook Reels, the videos that are popping right now, Google My Business, for example, the videos that are popping are short. They're, 45 seconds is a long video at this point. And so if you have a story that you need to get out, or if you have a series of tips that you need to make sure are understood in a concise way, having a full manuscript is especially important. And that's really when I would say being able to use the teleprompter is going to be a benefit to you, because you're going to be able to get that story or those tips out within your allotted time without going on a stream of consciousness rant.
I love that. So while we're planning things out, and as we know, it takes a little bit to kind of set up and get started with your video and break it down. What do you recommend around things like planning to batch and planning content in advance? And how do you make it maybe not look like you've done that?
Such a good question. So there's a few things. I do always suggest that you batch. It does mean that you need to have your strategy and your content calendar worked out. And that is something I work through with my clients, not just strategy, but having a content calendar. So let's say you're going to be posting, let's start with one video a week, and your goal is to post a video every Tuesday on LinkedIn. So what exactly are those posts about, right? We need to put them in the content calendar so that we know we're guiding people through that funnel and we understand what they need to hear and what you need to tell them. And once you've done that, then set up your studio. And by studio, I don't want you to think I mean anything elaborate, grand, or expensive. Really?
You don't have to dedicate an entire room of your house and soundproof and
You do not. Everything that I use for my quote unquote studio, I can fit in my handbag. And so I set up your tripod, set up your lights. I generally like 3 of them. They don't need to be huge. All they need is nice filled and full light in front of you. And then set up your camera on a phone, or set up your camera on a tripod rather. And then
phone on a tripod, if that's what your camera is.
Phone on a tripod. Yeah, and that's all you need. You need your phone. You don't need a fancy camera. You just need a phone. So when you're recording those videos, usually it takes a little while, unless you're very comfortable, to get into the groove. So you'll find that the first video or 2 is a little choppy. Maybe it takes you a few more takes than normal. But once you start to get into the groove, then that 3rd video and that 4th video become, and 5th or 6th, or however many it is that you're recording, become more fluid. They become easier to deliver because you've gotten used to the setup. So I say, set your camera up, have a little marker on the floor where you're going to put your tripod, have a little marker on the floor, a piece of tape.
Where you're going to stand.
Where you're going to stand, where you're going to put your lights, so that your studio is sort of like 80% already built. and then start to shoot your videos. Now, you're right. The key is making sure that it doesn't look like you've shot all of your videos in one day. So
Yeah.
I always do a quick wardrobe change in between my videos. I lay out a shirt, I lay out a different set of jewelry, and I change, from the waist up.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a whole wardrobe change, but from the waist up, I change every time I'm recording a video. Doesn't mean that you can't reuse certain outfits, but that way
Right.
it's not a dead giveaway that you shot everything at once. And frankly,
Exactly.
if changing your wardrobe is what's hindering you from recording video, don't even worry about that. Just
Yeah.
get in front of your phone, in front of your camera, and start recording.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't have to be like this big dramatic, I'm going down to the skin sort of thing, right? I mean, you
No.
could put a jacket over top of the top you used in the last one, and 98% of the world will not know.
Call it a day. Yep.
How do you make sure your video content aligns with your law firm's brand voice and sense of professionalism, especially if you're dealing with a larger firm, right? And you're not the one that dictates.
Yeah. Well, oftentimes if you're in a larger firm, your marketing department is going to be the one who's dictating
Yeah.
what you say and how you say it for that matter. But when you are a smaller firm, one of the keys is understanding where your client is. So for
Mm.
example, I was speaking with an attorney yesterday who is in family law. Specifically, they work with women who are going through divorce. And we were talking about how to align their brand with their video and their client. And I said, you may speak to attorneys or referral partners in one way, but you speak still within your natural voice. You speak to women who are going through divorce in a different way, right? They need perhaps a little more nurturing. They need somebody that they know that they can trust, somebody that they like, somebody that they're comfortable doing work with. So aligning the way that you speak and aligning with your clients is key. Part of that is knowing what your brand's mission, vision, and values are. If you don't have a strong sense of that, then it's time to get a handle on that. And then we can move into creating video that aligns with your brand and your clients as well.
I love that. Thank you so much. This has been so informative, and I feel like concretely helpful. I'm going to go do a few of these things.
Go for it. Thank you.
And thanks for tuning in to Credibility by Camera. If today's episode helped you think differently about video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with your colleagues and other people you care about. Are you ready to elevate your on-camera presence? Head to kerrybarrett.com to learn more. And until next week, keep showing up and let your credibility speak for itself.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.